I think what I would do is I will just explain more about the program first, and then along the way, if you all got any questions, you all can just ask me. Can? Sounds good? Okay, so we are TaF.tc, right? So just to help you to understand the context of TaF.tc, our school was established as early as 1983, but it's only in the year of 2009 that we actually actively took over TaF.tc by two C-suite executives. They were formerly working in the industry, they were holding high positions, but they want to come back to, they bought over this school because they want to serve, they want to go back to like serving the people and serving the industry, right? And also the government is also giving a lot of support for us to support the industry in terms of the subsidy that's available for Singaporeans of PR. So then they brought all the networks to bring to this training school to actually have all these trainers distill like specifically what are the technical skills that are required. So if you come to TaF.tc thinking that you'll be learning like really conceptual designs or really simple designs, you'll be disappointed, because a lot of what we teach you is based on the industrial standards. So if it goes everything from the fabrics that you're trying to create and learn in our campus, we give you 90% of what the industry are practicing in terms of the fabrics that we allow you to study, and so that you know how the fabric is going to translate into the apparels that you're trying to create. Whether it's the design collection course you're doing or whether it's the sewing course you're doing. And also in the sewing program you're doing, right, we teach you the entire process from pattern making, drafting, cutting, to actually making the entire apparel yourself. So you'll be using not domestic machines here, you'll be using our industrial sewing machines. So you'll be learning how to make your own blouse, skirt, shirt, pants, t-shirt, shorts. We have a lot of sewing courses that teaches you different variations of apparels. So this just gives you a flavor of like who we are, like TaF.tc, right? So consumers, right, this is how most consumers see fashion, right? Just like the nice glamorous side of it, like fashion runway show and all. This is how retailers see fashion. It's all about making money, so the business side of fashion. And lastly, like this is how the manufacturers see fashion, right? It's like the huge sewing floor, you have thousands of sewing workers and all. So there's an entire ecosystem that goes on in trying like how the value chains work from the government manufacturers down to like the buyers, the retailers, and down to consumers who actually buy this stuff. I'll go next on this. So this slide is just to help you to understand like, how the different stakeholder relationship across all the ecosystem. So where TaF.tc is positioned is to teach you the key skills in terms of like how do you manage your vendor relationship. That means to say like whether is it the aspect of merchandising or whether it's the aspect of designing when it comes to like maybe a virtual prototyping software that we're going to teach you that helps you to create apparels that look very realistic. Those are the skills that we're going to impart you, not the kind of like conceptual design. So that's why you are really technical in the things we teach, which I'll go into detail later. Yeah. Okay, so in 2014, we see that there has been a growing culture of like people who wants to be an entrepreneur, or like there's a whole makers community that's culture that's happening. So a lot of people, there are a lot more like fashion startups out there that trying to set up their own e-commerce store, down to trying to try to make something that they can sell somewhere on Carousel or whatnot. So that's why like in our diploma specialization, we have got 3 courses. One is the Diploma in Apparel Design, which focuses a lot more on the making of apparels and how you want to make your apparels come to life. Then we also have a specialization, which is the Diploma in Fashion Business. And this year in 2020, it's going to be exciting also because we're adding one extra module to actually wrap up the entire diploma. So maybe I can help you to understand more about that. So again, the local community of this makers movement is made up of all these players. I'm sure you all know NICE, right? You all know NICE? Yeah, so Jewel, we can see there's a NICE outlet there. Okay, so NICE is actually like you can think of them like a supermarket that actually has all the different brands that is local designer brands that they actually feature. So like small designers who have got small like stuff that they want to, as in like for them to show, to create and show, it's not easy for them to do that. So they tap onto like a supermarket so that they can get a mass market, to bring out the mass market. So that is a nice position. Then of course Design Orchard. Design Orchard, NICE is also part of Design Orchard. Design Orchard is just right opposite 313 Woods Somerset. For some of you know about this. And Boutiques Fair, do you all know Boutiques Fair? Yeah, so Boutiques Fair is more to like appeal to this expat community. So like hundreds of thousands of people will go down for this 3 days Boutiques Fair event, where again there's expat community that will actually feature some of the either a mix of local designers and expat community that will feature the products that they have, and then try to sell them to this group of people. Yeah, so I explained that a bit of background of TaF.tc. So these are the partners that we work with. When our 2C executive came over in 2009, right, we were just predominantly serving the industry. We were providing a lot of like trainings for these people. So there's one very big project that we did, which is the Lean Conference project, which we serve the government manufacturer. We actually teach them this ideology, which is called lean manufacturing. So the idea is to be more productive in the factory by teaching the workers there how to actually be more productive in understanding like how you can trim down waste or anything that you can see in the garment factory. So that's how we position ourselves. And also, all these companies are the companies that we work with. Like Hansei, Li and Fong, those are like with the garment manufacturers. They are the middlemen, and of course down to the retailers. We have got Charles & Keith. We also work with Louis Vuitton as well. And our sister company TaF is also another one of them. Juki, the machines that are the garment manufacturing machines. So again, like TaF.tc is like more towards like we serve the industry, and like it's only recently that we really got out to want to go to the mass and also be able to reposition ourselves as one that really teaches the skills that people need. Like, okay, so yeah, so there are all these networking opportunities. Okay, so today I'm only going to talk about the diploma program and also the advanced certificate. Maybe I'll just expand a little bit on the advanced certificate. Again, the diploma and advanced certificate is made up of all these professional short courses. So you can think of our diploma and advanced certificate courses as like a bunch of curated modules that we put together just to be able to teach you the different disciplines in fashion. So again, our course is a blended learning. You will be doing some, like all the heavy content stuff, you'll be doing e-learning on that. And then there'll be on-campus training as well. So this is just generally the pricing for diploma in apparel design. But Singaporeans and PR, you will be eligible for subsidies of between 70 to 95%. So I will go into detail on the course fees later. But I think the most important thing that I'm trying to establish here is whether is the course a good fit for you all. So ask me as many questions as you have on that, and then I'll try my best to answer this information. And again, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Matthew, so I'm again one of the program advisors here. Okay. And again, the other diploma, which is fashion business. So these are the, I'll just quickly skim through this. These are the countries that we train. We provide consultancy services to these different countries in terms of being able to support the developing countries in the manufacturing side. So that's where we are strong, because my boss is formerly the head of a merchandising company, so she understands how all these garment manufacturers work and how they can be more lean in the process and how to establish the factories abroad also. So we also work with United Nations on trying to develop these countries to be able to produce garments locally rather than always counting on the other countries to produce garments for them. So Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan is also another country that we serve. Okay, so our diploma course is also really short. If you look at our diploma in apparel design, 4.5 months. You can also choose to do an advanced diploma, which is 7 months long. You can do a diploma in fashion business, which is 3 months long. The idea of the program is also we are serving an adult learning community, so we don't want to waste their time. And we also want to compress the learning as much as we can, so that we give you a flavor of like what it is like to work in the industry. A lot of people think it's glamorous working in the industry, but it's really challenging to be in the industry also, because first, people are not exponentially spending more. Like the industry is kind of shrinking in a sense because of the sustainability movement, and a lot of companies are looking to like how can they make sale and all that stuff. So it's really challenging at one point. So if you think that this industry is a money-making industry, you'll be disappointed. It really takes a lot of grit and passion for you to start off first and initially build on a technical skill that will actually be rewarded in the few years to come. So again, the working hours, if you work in the industry, it's not confined to 9 and 6 Monday to Friday. You can really drag long working hours from 7 a.m. down to like 9 p.m. So it's not all that fun, I know. So it really takes that level of passion and grit. So just to help you to understand that component there. And also, like I mentioned, we don't want to waste people's time. That's why it's like a 4 months program. And you can be done with the Apparel Design Diploma. And, you can always work with we have a full-time person, which is a career counselor that can advise you on some of the industry, some of our partners who feature their jobs with us. I can show you all, like some of the companies that have feature jobs. So last year was also quite interesting because we inked deals with, for those who are interested in the degree track, to actually do a fashion with us, right? You can do an advanced diploma program which is 7 months long and then proceed to, like, say, this is one of our partner school, ACS of France. So you can take a bachelor's in fashion and get a 1-year exemption and do the balanced 3 years program with this school and be able to graduate with this bachelor's in fashion design. So that's for those people who are interested in pursuing a degree and be really specialized in this. Otherwise, the two biggest need that we see is people who are intending to start their own fashion label or people who wants to like work in the industry. So that is kind of like the 3 biggest motivation that people usually fall under. So far, is there any questions that you all have? Like, why I didn't lose you all? Don't have? All good? Okay, can. And then later you can help yourself to some of the brochures. Yeah. So here are some of our trainers. Next door we have Thomas Tan. I think he's actually just next door. But these are all our trainers. Most of our trainers have at least 10 years of experience when they come and teach. They must be from the industry before they come and teach. So Viona is really good in understanding the whole coming up with a retail buying strategy. Like how do you link budget with the collections that you're trying to create. So you must if you want to approve a design collection as a merchandiser, you want to make sure that you can foresee a budget, like how would that translate to dollars and cents. Because ultimately as a retailer, you want to maximize your revenue and also be able to provide maximum value for your customers. So identifying trends and seeing how these trends will actually play into giving a number is very important. So like the role as a merchandiser, obviously you make a lot more than a designer because it's more like you can see the business value in understanding how does your decision factor into how money translate into the decisions that you make, right? Tanya's teaching virtual prototyping Pro 3D, which is a very interesting software which I'll elaborate later. Eileen, she's still working for the garment manufacturers, so everything from learning sourcing to calculating the material cost in like a garment. There's many different cost component that goes into it. So she actually teaches a module on that, and she's still working in the industry. Ashley, she's actually meant to be the presenter today, but she's unwell, so I'm here to just explain on her behalf. But essentially, Ashley she used to be working as a GM in a garment manufacturer, so her knowledge in textiles and fabrics is also really strong. So when I elaborate on the specific modules that's part of the diploma course, you don't always have the same trainers teaching you. You'll be the specialized trainers that know their stuff that will teach you in those different modules. So I'll go into that later. So yeah, again, these are some of the brands we collaborate and work with. Yeah, so we do organize exchange trips and sourcing trips. So we do have like in April we are going to have like an India sourcing trip. So that there'll be a consultant that will follow the students in this trip and be sharing her contacts in terms of trying to get small label manufacturers to for our students to work with in order to start something, right? So we do organize sourcing trip that's also subsidized by the government. This one here is we have a trip to Paris. So this year we're also going to have a trip to Paris for our students in May. It'll be an exchange trip with a university ACS that we're working with. Yeah, and of course meeting our CEO and That we like whenever we have got industry partners that wants to come to give talks, we also invite our students here. So essentially, at the end of your course, you'll be part of this community where the people in the industry and also like our alumni will all be inside, and y'all can, if there's anything you want to engage the community, you can also engage too. The trainers will also be inside too, so that's where you can engage them. Yeah. So again, diploma in the fashion business, advanced certificate in fashion business. Okay, so I'll delve into the modules. If you all look at your brochures, right, I hope every one of you have a brochure, because I will then talk about like the courses that goes into the brochures. So what I want you all to do with me, right, is to just turn to the back of the page so that you all can see the different modules as part of the diploma program. Yeah. So if you look at the back, right, you can see that the first 9 modules are the same, right? So those are like the core modules of the diploma course. So you can see, so like in diploma in apparel design, there's 9 common modules, and it's the same as fashion business. And apparel design has got 6 other modules that specialize in this diploma, whereas fashion business is He's coming like in a week and a half to teach draping, so his standard of draping is a bit unconventional. Draping.
I thought it was Pretty Woman.
Yeah, so something like this. This is what okay, this is the kind of draping he does. It's like, they call it a subtraction technique, in just being able to like just cut fabrics and just join them all together to create that structure and form to it. So something like this, right? Yeah, so he's a designer from UK and he's going all over the world just teaching this technique. So we also have a class on this. For those who want to advance more in the sewing, this would be a interesting
As
technique.
in they will teach you the technique to do this draping?
Yes, it is. So this is a module that's separate from our diploma course. It's more like for those advanced sewers and advanced learners who wants to dive deeper
So this
into
one
the
is
art.
only touch base?
It gives you the fundamentals. It's more towards the industrial skill. So like the core difference between what you learn in our regular sewing courses and what you learn in the diploma course is, one is made to measure, another is industrial sizing. So whatever you learn in the diploma course is all like small, medium, large. It's not one made to measure size that you try to create. Whereas like the regular sewing courses of ours, it focuses on all the made to measure apparels. So that's the key difference. Then subsequently you can choose to advance more to some of these side modules that teaches you this. Okay, cool. Oops. Yeah, so that's apparel design. Any more questions? Otherwise I'll move on to fashion business. Okay, so to explain diploma in fashion business, right, you can see that aside from the core modules, there will be two areas that the diploma focuses on. It's going to be on the merchandising side and it's going to be on the digital marketing side. So the merchandising side is how do you follow up with your manufacturers from the conceptual design point all the way down to like the fulfillment of the order in your retail store or down to your fulfillment centers if there's any, So you will learn everything from like how to do sourcing to how to calculate costs and how do you do negotiation with your manufacturers and down to your suppliers. So like there's actually a standard to actually be able to do that. So those are the key skills that you learn in the merchandising class. There's only going to be like 4 modules, and that 4 modules there'll be one module course on sustainability. So sustainability, there'll be a trainer that will teach you exactly in the standards of sustainability, how can you come out with maybe a brand that resonates with the sustainability angle. So that's the merchandising side. Then digital marketing, you'll be learning how to set up your own e-commerce store, right? So there'll be 5 modules that's part of the digital marketing course. So if I have to help you to paint a story of what you will learn in digital marketing, the idea is to set up your own e-commerce store using Shopify, right? And then subsequently you want to drive traffic into that store. So the way how you drive traffic into the store is either through setting up your own Facebook campaigns or Instagram campaigns. So that's part of one of the module in social media management, where you actually run a live Facebook campaign for one of the brands that we work with. So we actually give you a live budget to actually go and run ads. So we believe more on the practical side of learning. So we always giving you like that opportunity to try something out and to actually measure your results from there. Then of course there's like the other digital marketing modules on SEO, like learning how to rank better on Google. So that's SEO. SEM is like Google Ads, how to run Google Ads. And the last thing we're teaching is inbound marketing. How do you create blogs and video contents to help the consumers out there understand your brand and to build trust with your brand through all your video contents, blog contents. Okay, so that's the diploma in fashion business. Then of course, for those who think that the diploma is too big, it's a big thing to plunge into, you can always look into our advanced certificate program, which is like 1/3 of the entire program in the whole diploma course. And of course, like for advanced certificate, all our modules are all 90% subsidized, and they are more for those who are working in the daytime and can only commit to evening schedules. Then you all can consider doing the advanced certificate. So the diploma in apparel design, right? For Singaporean below the age of 39, this is the net course fee with the application fee. For those Singaporean aged 40 and above, this is the fees for our Diploma in Apparel Design. And for those who have a WTS letter below 39, it's $5,300. 40 and above, 2.4K. And then those 35 and above is 1.5K. Okay. Yeah. Advanced Certificate Program, the fees are for Singaporeans and PR regardless, you're paying about $778. This includes an application fee of $192.60. So both the apparel design and fashion business all have the same. Yeah, so advanced in fashion business, the fees are also roughly about the same as well as about $777. Okay, so that's the net cost fee of the course. This Earn and Learn program, we have this thing called the Train and Place program. So what this program actually teaches you is you can work as an intern or after you study our diploma course. So it's like a 10 months program, right? So in the 10 months program, you will first do your diploma program, which is 4 months. So when you do the diploma course for like 3 to 4 months, right, the government gives you a training allowance of $1,000 each. So the whole program you get $5,000, but in the training phase, you only get like $3,000 that's spread across the 4 months. Then subsequently you'll be doing your internship. This internship will find a company for you to be attached there for 2 months. So in the internship phase, you'll be getting you get $1,000 each again, so it's a total of $2,000. So the training phase plus the internship phase is 5 months in total, so you get $5,000 at the end of that phase. The requirement of the program is after you do your internship, you will be given 5 months to go and search for a full-time job, and the requirement is for you to work in that full-time position and job for at least 5 months to fulfill your contract in this training phase program.
So do you actually look for the company yourself? Or
Yeah. Okay, so we actually will attach you to the network of our companies. Yeah.
Which are those companies that you
Yeah,
mentioned
so we have,
earlier?
yeah, so like some of the go-to internship companies that you go to is Macy's, Zara, Body Meats, there's a few other companies, Giordano is also another one of them. You can't really expect much from this internship because it's only 2 months long. Usually that phase is for our students to already start searching for their job, like cleaning up their portfolio, and then start on their job search phase. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that's the Train and Place program. Does anybody have any questions with this? Okay. So for those aged 30 and below, PSE is also available to you. Like all the net cost fee, you can always use your PSE as an option to pay. And also SkillsFuture credits. If you've got SkillsFuture credits, you can use them to offset your net cost fee also. NTUC UTAP member, I think you can also use that too if you for either of our diploma programs. And then of course, like once you graduate from our WSQ diploma course, you will get $1,000 each from the government. So that's under the SkillsFuture qualification award. The government gives you money to study it. Okay? Yeah. And hopefully this budget they give more. Right?
How do you award the diploma and the other?
How do we reward the diploma?
How do you award them? Like,
Okay.
is there a test?
Yeah, that's a
Something
good
like that
question,
you
right?
do?
Okay, so like the module is all like 70 to 95% subsidized. So in order for you to be eligible for the subsidies, you must meet your attendance requirement, which is 75% attendance across the course, and then to pass the assessment at the end of the module. So some modules require you to do presentation, some modules require you to understand all the to really understand the contents and be able to answer them. The passing rate at TaF.tc is 100%. It means you cannot get any answer wrong. So we are very strict on this. So like we do see a passing rate of only 50% when they do our courses. So they got to keep redoing until they get it correct. Can? Yeah, because we hold ourselves to a high standard, so we want to make sure we do that. Yeah.
So you go by module based, so
Yeah,
you must
module.
clear every module.
Yeah, module by module.
So
Yes.
the fashion design collection module is the product is a
Yeah.
whole collection. You have to do a whole collection.
No, not the entire collection. So like the end product of the design collection is to come up with one overall. It's either maxi dress which covers everything, or you can make like a shirt and pants, or like as long as the top and bottom, that's the basic of the end product requirement for design collection.
How much of the advanced cert is taken out of the diploma? As in like, you know.
Good question. So apparel design, advanced cert, there's only one module, which is the digital apparel design, learning how to come up at Adobe Illustrator. And for fashion business, there's two other modules. One is social media marketing, and another is e-fashion business. So there's two module exemption for the fashion business and one for the apparel design.
So the idea behind the diploma and the advanced cert was to actually for people who cannot meet the whole program. That's why you have this smaller section.
Yeah. So okay, advanced certificate is more for like people who they don't want to dive too deep into, like if they feel like they're not ready.
So how much of that gap that you have you're catered for? That, you know, so how much of the advanced
Yes.
the training that is given?
Yeah.
How much of percentage?
It's like 1/3 of the diploma, and also like there's other part of the discipline that is covered in the diploma that is not covered in the advanced certificate. So advanced certificate is more just teaching you the important stuff, you know, like textiles, understanding. Like if it's apparel design, it's learning textiles, understanding quality, then understand how the whole value chain works, and also making of apparels, blouse, skirt, shirt, pants. So that is apparel design. Fashion business again is those two core modules, which is learning how to run Facebook ads, how to set up your own Shopify store.
The business.
Yes, the business side. But of course, like not too, like it's not covered in great details lah.
So does it make sense to have advanced cert in apparel design, then advanced cert in fashion? Because I see there's an overlapping in understanding.
That's correct. Yeah, it is. So advanced certificate, there's like 3 other modules that I think. There's 3 common modules, so you can always take the balance module to get a double advanced certificate. Likewise for the diploma, you can always get a double diploma and get $1,000 each for each diploma. So for us, like the net cost fee is for those below 39, the net cost fee would be substantial, but those above 40, the fees are actually very affordable because it's all 90% subsidy, and you can get like $1,000 once you complete the diploma course. So there's a lot of incentive for you to do the diploma.
So the application is through the academy, or is it on our own?
Yeah, it's true the academy. Oh wait, you're talking about this $1,000, is it? It's once you graduate from the WSQ certificate, right? Once we file your certificate, then you will get the money.
So it's through your arm then?
Yes, that's right. We got to submit your result to the portal, and then the government side will then process it and then recognize that.
Okay.
Good that you brought that, because like both our diploma, once you do both of them, is equivalent to like the advanced diploma in fashion technology. So like again, the apparel design and fashion business, you cannot, once you do the apparel design, you can always finish the balance module from the other diploma to get an advanced diploma. Yeah, awesome. So I think I've covered quite a lot with you guys. The next part-time diploma intake, we only have 1 intake in a year. It will start in 2 hours time. So for those who's interested in the part-time diploma, you can choose to come for class later in 2 hours. $7, I don't know. Yeah. The next full-time intake would be in 1.5 months. We're looking at the 31st of March, the next full-time intake. And for advanced certificate, it also kind of start already, but you can always join. Okay, so if you feel like committing to the entire diploma is also a heavy commitment for you, you can always do the course modularly. So doing the course modularly, the fees combined is the same as enrolling as a full diploma. But with that said, of course, we do have a case where like in our diploma in apparel design, every intake we usually fill up the class. Like, so if there's 16 diploma enrollments, then we have to prioritize the diploma students compared to if you enroll modularly. So some of our students who really want to do the entire diploma, they can be like, hey man, I want to commit to like maybe 5 to 8 modules first, and but I will guarantee that I will finish the entire diploma. Then maybe we can make an exception like this and lock down the entire module for our students.
all the courses will be conducted here?
Yes. Most of the courses will be conducted here. Otherwise, they will be like in our second campus in Tai Hong Center or at MOX. MOX is a sewing lab that we have close to Joo Chiat area, Katong area.
What's the level of proficiency of sewing needed for the diploma?
You don't need to know anything. You could join the course. Yeah, it's very fundamental. Yeah, you learn everything from scratch lah. The idea is that.
And then after 4 months, 3 months, you will make an apparel.
Yeah, it is. You will, yeah. You'll be surprised what you create, like, especially the design collection is the one that really put you up to test, because you really come up with something that it's for those who watch like Next in Fashion, you understand like how crazy it is lah. So the idea is that just we design it such that it's intensive because we want you to feel to have that pressure that creates that creativity in you. You know, when you come up with something that's above, like you challenge your own skill set, like, you know, because even after doing about 160 hours of sewing, right, you will still feel like you won't feel as proficient as you still won't feel proficient yet. So like the design collection will still be of a challenge. But the idea of the design collection is to push you to do something that, you know, is above your skill gap, and then like formatively checking with the trainers to see how you can get better and do something that you're proud of, like, you know. So you should, like, the idea is to always work towards that goal of creating something that you have always wanted to.
I foresee a problem I have if I were to take on a part-time, right?
Yeah.
Because you're saying that Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday.
Yeah.
What if you cannot make it on Saturday?
Saturdays,
and it's a full day, almost full
yeah,
day,
it's
right?
full day.
8:30
Yes.
to what, 5:30?
Okay, good question. So we don't do any makeup or replacement classes. So like you have to really study the course schedule to make sure that you can make it for them. Also because every year we have got 4 full-time diploma intakes, which happen every quarter, and for part-time diploma it's only once in a year. You can always try to plan, like there's a module that you can't make it, right? You can always do it on a full-time basis. So you have the flexibility to look within the year's worth of schedule and then be able to plan how the 18 modules will flow throughout the entire year.
I can't visualize that.
You can't.
to-
The Saturday is
to
a
bring-
problem, right? Is it?
Yeah. Saturday is my problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you can consider the advanced cert, because the advanced cert is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 to 10 p.m.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I cannot
Yeah.
make it on Mondays.
Mondays can't, is it? Yeah, that's
That's why I find that there's a problem with the timing.
all our day classes.
No, I got it wrong.
Yeah, you're working, right? So yeah, so it's only when you can. In that case, I would advise until your schedule, until your schedule is
forever
free
I
up
cannot
to
do
do.
this.
Yeah, it is, because we don't know makeup replacement events.
Yeah. Why Saturday?
You can, however, always choose to do our professional short courses, because we have got a lot of sewing courses, right? So like just now I was mentioning to you about like how the difference between our diploma courses and the regular sewing courses. So in the regular sewing courses, they're all made to measure. So we do have schedules that are more friendly, more for working adults friendly, right? So we do have some evening classes that don't fall on Monday, for example, right? So those are the kind of classes you can sign up. Or if you want something faster, you can do weekend classes too for some of our sewing modules.
Is this accumulative? Will we be able to accumulate the different sewing courses into a diploma?
Good question. Because the sewing courses are not part of the apparel design, so you can't. The sewing courses that are part of the short courses are different from the short courses that's part of the diploma course. So one is made to measure, another is like industrial size, like small, medium, large. Unless you do the industrial sewing courses, then you will get exempted from some of the modules in the diploma course. But again, you can always choose to do the course modularly as well. Yeah, depending on your course schedule and your availability. I think the most important is just to see if the course schedule makes sense for you, then you commit yourself to the course. And also, like I mentioned, like if you look at the course schedule, there's also e-learning sessions also. Out of all the common modules that 50% of some of the modules are all e-learning. That means to say you can do your own self-learning at home, download all the contents, and then come to class to do the practicals and engage in more formative training. So that's the idea of that. And again, our course is very intensive, like we do the full-time program, because it's really like Monday to Friday, and sometimes we have got Saturday classes. And sometimes we do invite industry people to give talks, and we also do have got like factory visits that our students also will have to go to Malaysia to see the factory, for example. So you gotta make sure that that period is you gotta free yourself for that 3-4 months to engage yourself in
So
doing
all
courses.
these extra trips will be over and above, right? That means you have to make
Yes,
your own payment.
for the 1-day factory visit is above and beyond, right? That means it's all inclusive. But trips like to Paris, the Paris exchange trip, the one students have to pay an addition to go. Sourcing trip is subsidized. So the most recent sourcing trip we are trying to organize is to India. So the one in April is also subsidized. So yeah, like every biannual we will try to organize a sourcing trip for our students.
What's the range of trips?
Range of
trips?
trips.
Yeah, to the cost
Yeah.
to go overseas, like you say it's subsidized, right?
Yeah.
Roughly about.
I think it's
50%?
roughly the India trip is roughly about 1,000 to 1,004 for a 5 days trip. Yeah. So yeah, actually India is quite expensive.
It's quite
India is
compulsory,
actually
right?
it's not compulsory. It's
not
more like
compulsory.
we are appealing this to our alumni and our graduates or existing students. So and yeah, so those are the things that we do.
You mentioned the part-time course is going to start in couple of hours later today.
Yeah, it is the part-time diploma. So it's
The first day.
the first module is commencing today. There's e-learning also that was done previously, but of course today is the on-campus training. Yeah. I think you all will have your own individual questions, right? So if you like, I could end off this session and then you can break out and maybe you can come to me for questions, or you can go to like Wilson's behind, or maybe Gabriel. I'm sure some of you know Gabriel. Yeah, that's that. I think the most important thing about deciding about this diploma program is to look on 3 areas. One is to assess whether is this course a good fit. So like for me, I think it's important. That's why I wanted to know what's your needs. Because then I would, if for example, like I know that she's interested in only sewing, so I will only tell her that if you're only interested in sewing, you should just only be doing sewing courses, like, and not do our diploma course. Unless like your bigger need is to like you want to start up your own fashion label, you have always been passionate in fashion, you always want to have a chance in working in the fashion industry, then it makes sense for you to plunge into doing a diploma course. If you feel like you're not ready, then perhaps the advanced certificate should be a better course for you. Then of course, 2 other areas is to look in whether can you commit to the course and making sure that the days all work for you before you go into a course. Because we don't do any makeup or replacement classes, so you want to really make sure that you can do it. Yeah. I know she's really interested, but the Monday is a problem. So that's that.
Would you say that for part-time courses it's possible for poly students to do at the same time? Because for me, I'm only starting poly this year,
Yeah.
like in April, but at the same time, yeah, because I really do want to study fashion. So would you
Yeah.
say like it is okay to like go for poly and at the same time go for the part-time courses? Or is
So
it too
what
much time?
what brought you here?
Passion lah.
Passion in fashion, is it? I suppose. Okay. Okay, maybe I can address that question separately. I think maybe I could have an individual time with you all and then we could answer your question. How about that? But to answer her question is, she can always do part-time. But again, like doing a full-time in your current in Polytechnic is already quite stressful enough, like if you got projects and all. So you got to really see whether can schedule actually accommodate to what you do on a part-time basis here. And also the proximity of your school also matters. Because if you're too far away from like our campus, then the travelling time will already kill you already. So these are some of the areas to consider. Otherwise, you can always commit yourself by doing like one module first, and then see like will you be able to do the next module after the first. So I won't advise you to do the entire like advanced or diploma, but just perhaps do one module first. That's why we don't charge you extra for doing the modular route, because like ultimately the schedule should be able to work for you. Then you do our classes.
So do you recommend if we go in order, or you can just pick any module that you want?
Yeah, so you should in the best scenario try to go in the order, because like some of the modules are related to the later modules. Like if you learn textiles, then it would translate into like making apparels, for example. You understand like how different fabrics work differently while you're doing sewing. So the second module on apparel production, you'll be learning to make knitwear. compared to like woven. So knitwear is a more tricky material to deal with. So if you understand fabrics and textiles, you will then know that the first module matters lah. Then subsequently do the rest. But of course, like it really depends on what are the modules that you like. Create manage fashion brand, you can choose to do it on a later time. So it really depends on which module you're talking about. But again, the first module on textiles, that one's pretty important module to do first. Does anybody already know that they're not interested in course? So everybody is like interested, but you're just thinking. It's the timing that's the problem.
Consider.
Oh, okay. Right. So most of you are timing, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you already studied the course schedule already? I know you don't have course schedule. You're saying you want to get Gabriel here? Actually, I want to get an idea of who's interested in, okay, if course schedule aside, right, I want to know who's interested in apparel design, just so at least I can maybe answer all those questions from apparel design, and then those interested in fashion business, we can separate you all out and then take your questions. The idea today is not to get you all to enroll, but to know like how you can start planning if you're interested in doing courses with us. And also like, although like, and also like we have an open house, it's actually happening next month, and we most likely will not be able to have our open house also because like the whole coronavirus thing and all. So we want to make sure that we separate people, like separate different groups, so that we don't cluster too many people together. So the reason why Tristan is filming this is also to test it, to see whether like, so this will not go on Facebook. This is not live. I was just joking about that earlier. But all this recording is to just make sure that like this actually works, like, you know. Then we can actually do it like digitally on one hand, and also encourage people to come to our campus to enroll. So we are also opening up this entire week for you to enroll for the course and get an application fee waiver. So if you're interested in any of our modules this week, there'll be an application fee waiver. So that's that.
What are the courses? You mentioned some piecemeal kind of thing.
Yeah.
What are available? I noticed that you have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it is. You're talking about sewing courses or?
All whatever that is being like short courses and all that. What are available?
We have got hundreds of programs, but actively we only have about 44 or about 40 something active modules.
Where do I see all this?
They are on like our Diploma webpage.
Actually, you can refer to the brochure. You see the brochure at the back. You can see all the different modules as well at the back. You see all the modules. All those can be taken individually unless they have a prerequisite, which is like higher level sewing. You need basic sewing to actually get there. But those are some of the individual modules that you can look at.
Yeah. Aside from that, it's all the other footwear courses that we have, or like our regular sewing courses that have got like, they are all made to measure, like making, Can? So I think what I would do, since Gabriel is here, is to break you guys out to like those interested in apparel design and those interested in fashion business, and then try to take as many questions as we can, and hopefully we can plan something for you all, and then you all can decide how you want to take your journey with us. Ultimately, it's don't say yes until you know that the plan makes sense. Okay? Alright.
So is the open house in plan?
I think it's still happening. It's just it might be available both digital and also on campus. So depending on the status of like the corona, right now it's like orange. So if touch wood, if it gets to red, then it might be a full-blown digital open house that we have to do. Yeah. But of course, all the contents will be available on our Facebook page, and so you can see all the live streaming of all those contents. Alright, awesome guys. So I think to just speed things up, like apparel design over on the left and then fashion business on the right. So I think Gabriel will take apparel design. I will probably do fashion business together with yourself. Okay?
Yeah, so
Really fair, is it? Okay.